Hey everybody, welcome to the latest on the earliest alert, which really is going to be an alert for the short term, really, later this week, and then we will touch base, by the way, in the longer term toward the end of the video here. First off, this is the image from that experimental GOES 16 satellite image, which we will be showing on the air all the time, coming up very soon, by the way. I love this because it shows the detail. You can just see just a few clouds there in southern areas of Kentucky, but look how clear it is up here. There's just enough low-level moisture, by the way, as we heat the ground up. This afternoon, we should start to see some of these fair weather cumulus begin to kind of speckle the sky later on. But good amount of heating coming our way today. And proof of that right now on our Kentucky One SkyTrack camera there at the Bluegrass, or the shops. Shops of the Bluegrass at the outlets in Simpsonville. I'll get it right eventually. All right, here's a look at our satellite image from our radar site and satellite image data we got here locally. And this is just, the radar's on sensitive mode. I've had it on that for the past couple of days. It's detecting birds even flying through the air. So there's no rain or anything like that to talk about. So let's wind the view up. What is next? Well, a couple of things. One being a cold front that is going to drop down from the north. You see that spinning motion? It's the same one that gave us a little spoke yesterday afternoon, a few sprinkles in our northern counties. Here comes another spoke, another front, if you will. This low just keeps throwing these fronts down at us as it spins in eastern Canada. So this next front's going to drop down, but it's got a limit. Because there is still a good high here to the south of us, so as that front drops in, it's going to sense that high and begin to struggle to keep going forward. So to put the brakes on, and then it'll just kind of fade out off the map, and actually will become more of a warm front in a reverse course, but you really will not notice that much of a reversal. But the question is that fading process. How far south does it go before it fades out? How quickly does it fade out? Because there will be just enough little push with that front that it may scoop up some cloud cover and maybe a brief downpour. And that chance will be early tomorrow morning around sunrise, and again tomorrow evening if the boundary's still in the area. The heating of the day will hit it, and you can get a few downpours, maybe some thunder that could develop. Now, it does look to be a widespread issue, but at least want to mention it. And here's one of the high-res models here showing the setup for this afternoon. Now, this is blow-off thunderstorms. These will be doing that whole cold pooling idea well ahead of the front. So as they get ahead of the front, they'll fade out as they approach us, but they could still generate a shower tomorrow morning. It's a possibility. Otherwise, the front, you can really see where it's lined up, right along 64, and then it curves up almost like the warm front typically would into St. Louis. And you see it's got the little speckling there tomorrow afternoon and evening. Not a big deal, and I don't think it's going to be even that far south. I think it's going to be just a hair north of 64 is where it will stop. But we'll monitor that. But I at least want to mention for those of you that are going to wash your car, even though we got a lot of rain coming down the road here. But in case you just want to get it clean, I get that. You may get an annoying small a round of sprinkles tomorrow that will just be enough to ruin it and make you mad. So there's your heads up. And then those will fade out again as it becomes a warm front. So that is our only issue we've got in the next 48 hours, 72 hours. Then we get into the tropics. As of this blog, it is still a tropical depression, technically. The Hurricane Center changed their process of how they label these this year, and it's been really confusing, and obviously it's very confusing for our system because it's reading it as a tropical storm. Number 3, it's technically a depression. They're calling them potential cyclones, and they give forecasts for them now for potential cyclones. So it's kind of a confusing thing that a lot of meteorologists are having a tough time explaining, and for the viewer at home, I know you're like, what is this? For all technical purposes, I know the winds are now sustained at 40, which 39 is the limit for a tropical storm by definition. But for all intents and purposes, let's just consider this depression number 3. What we're waiting to see, and we're starting to see it, the center itself is right in through here, and we're starting to see thunderstorms trying to wrap around it and blow up around it. The more that happens, the more it's organized, and it'll get the name of Cindy. And by the looks of this, and looking at the good canopy, very nice symmetrical blow-off here. The canopy starting to form on the northeast quadrant here, which is very common in these setups. But if this wraps around a little more, then it's symmetrical enough that I think that this will be Cindy as it heads to the northwest. And that's the thing. The trend of the models is to take it more northwest, not due north. Although when you look at it, it's like, oh, it's coming toward New Orleans. Well, the rain bands will, the very heavy flooding rains are heading right into this area. Even though the center is heading toward just east of Houston or perhaps at some of the parishes in Louisiana, it doesn't matter. The center is not the issue on this. It's the heavy rain on the north and east quadrant that is concerning with this system. And that is what will matter for us, too, as it approaches our area. Here's the forecast as of this recording. Takes it again to the coastline there, the Gulf Coast, as early as roughly midnight as we get into Wednesday night, and then it's still a remnant low. And yeah, look at that, the cone of the tropical cone, whatever goes around into Kentucky. You don't see that very often, but it's a very weak system. And even the models really confident on the idea that the center itself is going to track. But here's the issue. I mentioned that heavy rain is going to be mainly in the eastern and southern quadrant of this system. That's important because if the track is more of a sharp turn, that will keep a lot of the heavy rain south of us. If it's more of the north turn, I'll get it right, it would be a little more over central Kentucky along the Ohio River. So the path is important on the idea of where it takes that heavy rain shield with it. But here's another complicating factor to this, as you'll see in a second. We have a front dropping in from the north. The front itself is going to combine with this at the same time, and that's going to enhance the north quadrant as well, and even the northwest quadrant of this low, which is a little unusual for a tropical system. But the front is going to help enhance that rainfall. So where these two kind of meet up, and where that enhancement is, there could be a banding feature that forms on the radar that could really put down some heavy totals. Several inches of rain, and that's something that's going to have to be watched carefully, and timing's everything for that to match up. And being this far out, confidence is going to be low. It's Tuesday, and we're talking about Friday night, really. But let me show you the at least one of the model ideas here, and you can see how we start to feel some of the moisture, the outer band moisture that's coming in through New Orleans the next couple of next 12 hours. As it surges in, we'll start to get some thunderstorm action out of that Thursday afternoon, late in the day into Thursday night. But really, again, it's going to be Friday night into Saturday. That is when the front moves in, and you see how it enhances right there, right on the quadrant itself. And then the front should be strong enough to push it south, and the low itself heads up to New England. And the front will try to calm things down after that as we get into Sunday. Let me show you some of the models on the rainfall potential. This is the GFS. You can see the very heavy rain, over a foot of rain in Louisiana. Big problems will certainly be an issue, the headline here with that. And then you can see the track of the low, and you can see the enhancement with the front. Now, the GFS is going crazy. It's going over 8 inches of rain in central Kentucky, very close to Louisville, in fact. I wouldn't roll out more than 4 inches. Anything higher than that, I mean, it's gonna take a lot of ingredients lining up just right for that to happen. I'm not ruling it out. I'm just saying that it's such a narrow feature that will happen. It's hard to even forecast that, so it's not worth preparing for that. But you can see the ability that it has. Now, when you look at the Euro idea, it's more of the southern track. Still has the heavy rain here in Louisiana, Mississippi, but it aims the banding feature, a little more of the enhancement, a little more in southern Kentucky. Slight banding does develop there across the Louisville area, which would put us over 3 to 4 inches. Don't get me wrong, that's still a significant amount. The Canadian, which I don't know why it's not popping in there. Let me advance this. There we go. There's the Canadian. The Canadian model. Okay, well, the Canadian model is really enhanced. It's got like 2 to 3 here in Louisville, but it's got over 10 inches in Nashville. Not really buying that idea. And then here's the Weather Service official forecast. They have the heavy rain over 10 inches in spots, but for our area, generally 1 to 3 and about a 2 to 4 is what they're going with. And that's, I think, conservative. But for the Weather Service, or for the Weather Prediction Center, really, that put that out this far out to have those kind of totals, that is impressive, actually. So it does bear watching. I think in general, we're talking about a 1 to 3 inches of rain in wave country, I think is likely, especially Friday afternoon, Friday night. But there will be areas that could certainly double that, and that's what we need to be prepared for. Now, as far as the wind goes, the Euro, again, with the southern track, it's keeping the stronger winds on the southern flank of it, southern eastern flank. And these are gusts over 30 miles per hour, probably around 20 or so here. Locally, the GFS, with its northern track, brings those stronger winds into our southern county. So it's going to be windy. We may see gusts over 30 miles per hour in some cases as it crosses over, but this is not going to be a major deal on the wind part. It's the heavy rain, by all means. And then after this goes by, I mentioned that cool down we'll get early next week with some sunshine. We do try to build the heat back in just in time for 4th of July holiday, but see that little dip there, the blue? Signs of another wave of cooler weather coming in, and it may arrive very close to the holiday itself. We'll see how that plays out.